trip as well. And yeah, let's get right into it. So we will be two instructors. My co-instructor, Dr. Fabian Menayet, he's from the agroecology department, LRES department. He is currently on sabbatical, but will be right back on time for the course and the trip next spring. So what are we going to see today? A little bit of background why we think that Yucatan Peninsula is an interesting area to visit and to study with kind of depth, and tell you a bit about your two instructors here and what the class is going to look like in the trip, and then we hopefully have some minutes for questions as well. So let's start. So Yucatan, who of you has already traveled to the Yucatan Peninsula? Exactly, to Cancun, I suppose, or Playa del Carmen, and these tourist hotspots. That's where everybody goes. That's not what our trip is going to be about, I can already tell you that. So all of you who are expecting beach holidays, that's not our plan, but it's going to be exciting anyway. So why the Yucatan Peninsula? First of all, that's one of the areas, global areas that we call like one of the high culture areas. So when we had like a very sophisticated civilization already thousands of years ago, the Mayas, by the way, did not only live on the Yucatan Peninsula, but also a little south and north of it. It's really unique and very sophisticated culture that still exists. So that's nothing from the museum. The culture is still there. The Mayas are still there, with their own language and traditions and agriculture and food and so on and so on. And what is interesting about this area, so the land that is inhabited by the Mayas is called the Maya, and that's basically all central Yucatan Peninsula, everything that is inside this yellow circle here on the map. So that means we have like more than 1 million Maya people who are still conserving their culture there, and it's not like they are the majority, the population in this area. So this is still like an existing, very thriving culture that we are going to explore. It's also like both the geology, but also the plants and animals we find they're really unique. What I found was really exciting there is, and I lived there for many years, the rivers that we have like on top, and we can see on the Yucatan are underground. Yeah? Basically below the whole island you have a very sophisticated underground aquifer system, and from time to time the surface opens up and you can see like what it looks like a few feet below you, and this is so-called sinkholes or cenotes, and that's a very exciting thing. And then we have tropical plants and subtropical plants and all kinds of animals and lots of organisms that only live there, so definitely stuff to see there. Then comes what we are specifically interested in. So their way of doing agriculture is the so-called Maya milk production system, and that's a cropping system. We know here in Montana we have basically one crop on our fields, wheat or whatever it is. Yeah, there we have usually like 50 different plants on the field, but it's not like by coincidence. There's very complex knowledge behind it. They have sustainable farming practices, for example, integrating the agriculture into the local jungle. Then they have something, and that's going to be like one of our core topics in the course, something that we call subsistence agriculture. Someone knows what that means? Subsistence agriculture? Have you ever heard this term? So it's basically why does a farmer grow plants here in Montana? Well, what's the purpose of the farmer? Basically is to grow a commodity and to sell it, right, on the market. In the case of a subsistence farmer, the core purpose of doing agriculture is for their own nutrition. So they do not primarily produce for the market or sell it. They produce the food they are eating. Yeah, so that's what we call subsistence agriculture, and exists in many parts of the world. Still very important, not so much in the United States as we know. Yeah, and these complex farming systems, it's really like a knowledge that is being passed like from generation to generation for thousands of years. And yeah, this is definitely something interesting. And as a result, they have also an interesting traditional cuisine, unique flavors. It's a different cuisine that they have there on the Yucatan, different from what we call here Mexican cuisine. By the way, Mexican cuisine in Mexico does not exist. It's all regions have like their different foods, but this one is very unique, and they have like since this is a tropical area, they have lots of plants that are not growing in other parts, tropical fruits, vegetables, lots of plants you probably have never seen in your life. And also like the way they distribute is very sophisticated and interesting. And as mentioned, so it's also like the language is very unique. The majority of the people still speaks Maya language, not Spanish there. Then we have obviously still very famous archaeological sites there. You may have heard Chichen Itza, which is the most famous one. Maybe some of you have visited it, but there's like, I don't know, at least 50 pyramids there on the Yucatan, so there's a lot of archaeology also to see. They have like, there's still like the mythology, cosmology beliefs, and that's also very important to us. We are not only going to talk like about the ancient Mayas and everything they have achieved, we also want to show with you what their current problems and their day-to-day life in the 21st century looks like. And that also, yeah, we won't hide from you that these societies, as all societies in the world, are facing their problems. For example, tourism and out-migration is an issue there. The loss of this traditional knowledge to manage the fields. Many young people don't know it anymore. Climate change is a global problem, obviously. Land ownership and like policy-related stuff, changing diet habits. So there's a lot of things going on that also are current challenges there, and we will also talk about that. Our core focus, and that's no coincidence, will be on agriculture and food, yeah, for two reasons. Reason number one is both my co-instructor Fabian Menai and I, that's our area of expertise, so we both come like from the agriculture food side. The other reason is that this is probably one of the most exciting things to study. We don't find that sophisticated farming systems here in North America, and they are acknowledged together with some Chinese societies maybe to be the most sophisticated farming systems in the world. So that's really fascinating. So as we already mentioned, so most of the farmers there are subsistence farmers. They produce basically in order to feed their families and not for sale. They practice something that is called slash and burn farming. That means that they need to burn down always a part of the jungle there and then seed their crops. And yeah, but basically the way they do agriculture, the way they do farming has a strong impact on their culture and language as well. And there's still like lots of ceremonies. Here, for example, a photo I took some years ago, farmers call the Maya rain god for rain and so on. So it's like ceremonies we may also find here on the reservation, but again, reservations, but again, this is an area of 1 million people. This is not like something, a small area. This is really a huge, still very vibrant society that maintains these cultures and traditions. What do we find there on the fields? That's always characteristic. So we can find like up to 50 different plants on a Maya milpa field, but there's like 4 elements that we would always find: 2 types of corn, a low and a short and a longer cycle one. I won't get into detail about this. Then we always have like a type of bean. This can be the white lima bean or a common bean. And we always have squash, and then we often find peppers, fruits, other vegetables, medicinal plants, and also like native wild plants that grow there. Everything together in this complex system. And you may have heard that, yeah, so core component are what we call like the 3 sisters, so corn, squash, and beans, and they all have like their ecological functions and work very, very well together. Yeah? Just to give you an idea, a corn plant in a system like this yields up to 50% more than the corn, like in the monocropping that we have here in the North America or in the industrialized world. So this is a really powerful system, but it's not easy to manage, and we're hopefully going to learn a bit about that. Then we have all like this diversity of food that comes out of this system. Obviously, corn used in 50 or 100 different forms, tortillas being the most common one, but not the only use that they have for the corn. And this is here the left side, lower left, as you also see an example of interesting foods to do with squash, and they also eat obviously a lot of meats, and then they have super exciting tropical fruits there, like this one's called mamey. You probably have never tried it. It's incredible. You cannot, if you try it, you cannot even believe that a plant with such a flavor exists. And this is also sold usually not in supermarkets or so, but on local markets. And we will have opportunity to visit all that. As mentioned, they also have problems, obviously. Climate change is a huge one, and that affects, for example, the productivity of their farming systems. So that's one of the challenges we've been studying a lot. We also see, like on the nutrition side, obviously they do their subsistence farming, but there's like more and more industrialized, highly processed food coming in and of relatively poor nutritional quality. And then we also have like social challenges. For example, the mass tourism, Cancun and so on, absorbs many of the young people who say, I don't want to do farming anymore, it's that much work, I better want to do a job want to have a job in the tourism industry. And this way, like many young people move to this area. Some of them also migrate to the United States, but that is really a problem, because it affects basically like this knowledge transfer. So you cannot study traditional Maya farming from a book. You need to learn it, like working with your parents on the field, and that's one of the problems they are facing. So far so good. So these are going to be like the topics and the context we will be addressing in this course, and this is only like a very, very short introduction to that. So who are going to be your instructors? We already heard it. So one of them is Dr. Fabian Menayet. He can't be here with us today, but he's a weed management specialist and agroecology expert, and teaches several courses in the College of Ag, and he also studies like agrobiodiversity and traditional and conventional and organic farming systems, and he's really open to interdisciplinary ideas. I've collaborated with him on a lot of projects. A really nice guy, and he's originally from Argentina and speaks Spanish very well, which is obviously convenient for a trip to Mexico. And then I am the other one, and I teach here several courses in the Sustainable Food Systems program, and one of my research focuses currently is, for example, studying edible wheat plants, which works very well together with this Yucatan topic and a lot of other things I'm interested in as well. And I worked there on the Yucatan Peninsula at the so-called Intercultural Maya University for 7 years, so I know the area very, very well and still have good contacts, and they are going to help us make this a great experience for you, and obviously also speak Spanish. So what is this course going to look like that we will offer to you in the next spring term? So it's going to be a course for 15 students, and in terms of signing up and getting enrolled in the course, that's something you may want to discuss directly with the honors college. I'm only the instructor, so all the administrative stuff is with them. It is going to be a weekly course. It's going to be an in-person course. We are not thinking about a remote opportunity here. We won't really want to get into in-depth discussion with you, and we don't know the classroom yet, but we already have a time, and it's going to be the Wednesdays next spring term from 3 to 5. Then among our goals, we want you to understand, like, not only like in the context of the Yucatan Peninsula, but more generally what biodiversity means, what agroecology means, what does this mean for our food security, access to food, and so on. We want you to get you introduced into transdisciplinary thinking, how like environmental and economic issues are related and how this all affects our food. So a little bit of food system thinking in general, but then always like getting back to the example obviously of the Yucatan Peninsula that tells us this very well. And what will we do in this course? So the course will be primarily based on different readings we will have for you. This can also be videos in some cases that we are going to discuss with you. We will also have for the participating students like short research project where you need to find out something about the Yucatan. We will have an activity in the kitchen for you to prepare a typical Mayan dish, obviously not only for tasting it, but also like to learn about the ingredients and the whole story behind it. And in interdisciplinary student teams, so we want to have like students from different fields mixed up in the team. You are then expected to prepare like a final presentation on your topic and also develop kind of a podcast, and the podcast is then going to serve like for the students who take the trip as a source of information. So the grading, this is really going to be a course for interested students. There are no exams or so, class participation, and especially like the reading. So we will make sure that you actually do your readings, that's something we are going to do, and that you actively participate in the discussions. And then again, as mentioned, like this final project presentation and podcast is the other 50% of the grading here. So it's really like a course we would usually offer probably more at the master's levels, but knowing that you are here the best students of the university, it's definitely something we can do with you as well. And here you can see like the topics for the 14 course weeks we have. Always like a background on the Mayas, history of the Mayas. We have something on agricultural sustainability in general, agroecology in general, resilience in general, and then we go again like more to the Maya issues, traditional Maya agriculture, a bit of what I just showed you, Maya culture and how it is related to agriculture. We talking about just before mentioned challenges, what participatory research means, designing sustainable food systems, the Maya food problems like related to mass tourism, since that's probably the way most of us have experienced the Yucatan so far. Maya identity, and then in the final week we are going to see your student presentations. We don't have a confirmed list yet, but we want at least for a few of these classes to have guest speakers there, preferably from the Yucatan or from Mexico, so that you can really not only get like our insight, but also like the insight from people who experience these societies every day. So I think that's going to be a good mix: readings, discussions, projects, and a whole diversity of topics, all related to the food system, like in the wider sense of the Yucatan Peninsula, but also like what this actually means for us. So we always also want to get everything we see, or to bring everything we see in class also in our context, because societies like the Yucatan Peninsula are not unique. There's very similar societies in other parts of the world. There used to be similar societies also here, and we want to get you like in a discussion that is actually meaningful to you, and so that we can take something out from these societies and learn something for ours as well. Well, and then once we finish the class, all students who take the class are then invited to join our trip to the Yucatan, and there are some details that are not confirmed yet, where I can give you only like a very general information so far. But as this semester proceeds, and by the end of the semester we should have a very, very detailed plan on the itinerary of the trip. We are already working on it. But what I can tell you for sure is, or not for sure, but almost sure, is the date. Yeah, that's May 12 to 26. It's not confirmed yet, but very likely that it's going to be exactly that. Yeah, that's the Sunday after the final day, the Friday of the finals week. So you do your finals, finish everything, and 2 days later we are going to travel all together, fly to Cancun, and from there we are going to travel primarily by bus on the Yucatan Peninsula. For the cost, Honors College requested like an estimate, and that's the estimate I can give you so far. It's not very specific yet, but it will be in this range between 2,000 and 3,000 per person. Yeah, I don't think we are getting to 3,000, but give us some time and we can tell you the exact number very soon. I would expect it more like in the 2,500 or maybe even below category, but let's see once we have like the complete itinerary and everything it involves. I also know that from the Honors College that students have done fundraising in the parks and maybe to try to explore ways to decrease the per person costs, and wherever we can help you with that, we are obviously totally willing to do that. So where exactly are we going to travel? So we can see here, no, that's the United States, Texas and so on, and then the Yucatan is basically at the very, very south of Mexico, southeast, yeah, right across a little further here, there would be Florida, and Yucatan Peninsula encompasses 3 countries. It also has parts of Belize and Guatemala, but the largest part is in Mexico, and we specifically on our trip will focus like this area, because this is like the area where we find most of the Maya society. Yeah, there's a small town, 10,000 resident town that is called Jose Maria Morelos, and there's this partner university hosted, and we are going to spend a lot of time there, and then from there explore the subsistence farming communities. And it's rural in a way. I know Montana is rural, but that's more rural. Yeah, that's like places where you don't have internet and nothing. It's really a unique experience, and I think thanks to the good connections we have to this university there, and all the people I know from my years down there, we will really be able to offer you like a unique experience that no other tourist could book also. Yeah, that we really get you like to the farmers no tourism show. It's all going to be authentic, and I think it's going to be super exciting. Yeah, so what are we going to do on this trip? We will definitely visit traditional farmers and see the Three Sisters farms, but we're also going to see some other farming systems, and we will talk to them. We are in trying to get everything set up for you to have obviously translators, knowing that many of these farmers don't speak Spanish, but only Maya, but we will figure this all out for you. We will visit some of the families and in the communities and try of their traditional food. Yeah, you can see that's, for example, a typical village and what the houses there look like. We will meet the beekeepers there. We will learn something about seed conversation, like in a kind of a smaller workshop. We will visit local markets and get to know some of the Maya villages. We also included some more touristical parts in the itinerary, especially for those who have never gone to the Yucatan. So, for example, we are going to see the Chichen Itza, which is the most famous archaeological site or pyramid there on the Yucatan. We're also going to see the very beautiful Tulum pyramids, which are right on the beach. Another one that's one of my favorites, it's right in the jungle, basically, the Kowa pyramid. We're also going to see this one. We're going to visit one of the big cities there, or bigger cities there, that is called Campeche, a colonial city, very beautiful. By the way, be all prepared, it's going to be really hot. May is one of the hottest months there. At least it's dry, because for me at least it was always the most intense months there on the Yucatan are like June to September, when it's not only incredibly hot, so we are talking about 35, 40 Celsius, so 110 and so, and then when it starts to rain and it gets really moist, it's uncomfortable, but May is usually hot but still dry, so that makes it a little more pleasant, but it's going to be warm. Yeah, we're going to visit one of these cenotes, of these sinkholes. We thought we need to spend at least one day on the beach with you as well, so that you can enjoy that, so we are going to do this as well. And obviously we are going to spend a lot of time with both faculty and students of this university there on the central Yucatan Peninsula. And that's basically it. That's everything I wanted to tell you right now about this trip. Was obviously a lot of information, so I am expecting several questions, and it does not matter whether your questions are like on the topic itself and you want to learn more about subsistence farming, or if it's like about the class and the trip. Again, regarding the trip, I cannot tell you all details yet, but we will have them figured out for you very soon. So, yeah, any questions, comments?
So Mexico obviously is known for having safety concerns. Are we at all worried about safety, and if we are we going to mitigate that with different ways, or what's the deal with that?
Yeah, that's a very good question. It's an important question. Yeah. So we were talking. Yucatan is not the only exciting zone in America, in Mexico, and there's also like fascinating traditional cultures, for example, around Mexico City. But that's an area I would not want to go with you. I lived there for 7 years. Nothing has ever happened to me. It's considered the safest region of Mexico, especially the central part, out of the tourism. Yeah, there's no narco gangs or something. It's very rural. That does not mean that always, there's always a risk that something can happen, but the safety risk is, I would say the security safety risk there is probably the lowest in whole Mexico. And having local guides with us on the bus, I think also helps. The fact that all your instructors speak Spanish also helps, and we have some contacts there, so we will definitely have a strategy in place to minimize this risk as much as we can. And I would not be too concerned about it, but that does not mean that we shouldn't be constantly aware of that, and we will prepare you with some safety and security recommendations for this trip. Safety and security also involves health. So we are going to a tropical area, and they can also, eating food there can also have implications. And there's a lot of wild animals, starting with all types of from snakes to tarantulas. That's the tropics. Yeah, that's what you're going to experience there. So we are also trying to prepare you as much as we can for this aspect of your safety as well. But to summarize, I would say in terms of violence and so on, it's probably, it's something we can do, and we feel very comfortable doing it with you. And when I worked there, we had several visits from students from all across Europe, United States and Canada, and also exclusively made positive experiences. So I hope that it's going to be good next year as well.
Go for it. Is there a place we're supposed to apply for this class, or how do we register, I guess?
Yeah, that's exactly the type of question you need to ask the Honors College. I'm the instructor. What we basically do, Dr. Menayed and I, is we hold the course and we organize the trips. Yeah, and we know, for example, we discussed the student number limit, which is 15 for both class and trip, but who is going to be selected under which criteria, that's definitely then a question directly to the Honors College. We discussed it, but we came to the conclusion that obviously if someone of you brings in some Spanish language knowledge, it's positive, but we won't make this a requirement. Yeah, but if you know some Spanish, can definitely help, especially on the trip. And then you also had a question.
Yeah, with the cost estimate, does that include the flights or is that
yes.
just, okay.
Yeah. But again, yeah, estimates. I really, this is like still a very rough number. We can tell you much more like in a few months from now what the exact amount would be for cost-wise. But that was just to give you an idea, like in which categories we are talking.
Another question. So last year the trip to Nepal was primarily a backpacking trip, like more than half of it. Will we be camping or backpacking, or will we stay in accommodations?
We will stay in accommodations, but don't expect luxury hotels, especially in the central Yucatan Peninsula. We will exclusively stay in accommodations, but again, it's not going to be like your prime tourist hotels or so. But yeah, it's not. We will walk a bit. We will swim a bit, but it's not required. Climb a bit in the caves, but no extreme hiking, nothing of this type.
What part of the class or the trip are you most excited for?
I am, to be honest, yeah, I'm super excited about it. Yeah, it's also will be for me I think the first opportunity in 7 years or so to return there to the Yucatan. I've always stayed in touch with the people there, but I think I want to. Well, I should tell you that this summer we had an SFBS student, and she did her internship there 2-3 months, and she came back, and it's really no exaggeration. She came back as a totally changed person. Yeah, to have this experience of living. Obviously, she stayed for 3 weeks, and our trip is only going to be 3 months, and our trip is only going to be 2 weeks. But like seeing you in this totally different world, experiencing this food and how people can live in a totally different way than we do, I will definitely enjoy that, and for myself also the food. The food is amazing there. It's all fresh, whether it's pineapples or coconuts just cut like summer. That's going to be great. Yeah, I'm not looking forward to the heat. To be honest, I prefer the Montana temperatures, but we will make it through the 2 weeks there. At least the bus should have air conditioning. Yeah, I cannot guarantee for the hotels or so. And then people there sleep in hammocks, not in beds. Yeah, so this may something that we may need to do like on 1 or 2 occasions, but it's definitely fun. What else? I made it specifically short because the topic is so huge that it was only meant to give you like a very first impression, and I expected basically that you would have several questions related to that.
Will we need a passport to go?
Yes.
Okay.
You need a passport, but Mexico does not require visa for US citizens, so it's does not require visa for citizens. So it's your valid passport. You need to fill out a form, but you can do it in the plane, and with this you're good to go. Yeah.
So you said that we're gonna have a project that we do, and then we're gonna have to make a podcast at the end. Is that what I gather?
A presentation for the class,
okay.
and then a podcast. And the podcast is really meant that we can basically listen to it. This is all going to be related to things we are going to see on the trip. So you are basically developing a little kind of our audio guide for the trip with this podcast. So it's going to be a class activity. It's going to be graded, but it's nothing like disconnected. It's expected to be something meaningful for the process. More questions? Let's make it like a very first initial survey based on what you've seen so far, or who thinks that they could be interested in doing the trip. Okay, well that's quite a lot, yeah. And I know honors college, so you come basically from all kinds of fields, which also makes it very interesting for us. We usually teach with primarily agriculture students or food system students, a little bit nutrition students from time to time, but it will be also, I think, for us instructors to be a great experience to work with students from all across campus, so that's definitely going to be good. Yeah, what else? Any more questions? Yeah?
How similar is the native language to Spanish?
No, not at all similar. It's more like it's a Native American language. I'm not a linguist, yeah, but it's probably more related to the languages to speech, the native languages here that are spoken in North America than to Spanish. They have included some Spanish words, yeah. So you hear them talking, da 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 da. Then sometimes you hear like a Spanish word. I know what that means, but basically, when I lived there, I learned some vocabulary. What you need in agriculture, like the names of some crops and some animals and foods and so, and I could say hello and goodbye. That, by the way, boutique means thank you, but I was never able to hold a conversation. Usually, you go to like larger towns, everybody speaks Spanish and lots of people also English. But if you go to the very small towns, especially the female populations, many of them only speak Maya. But we will get in touch with them and communicate with them. We will find a way. More question, comments. Let's see. Well, theoretically, we still have a few minutes left.
If you're interested in joining the class, would you email your advisor or would you email the honors college?
I think, I don't know. Yeah, again, that's more a question to the honors college. I would guess your advisor always first. Yeah, but if you contact the honors college about how to enroll for this class, they can tell you that. I mean, these classes are really interesting. You know, there's always like one great expeditions course every year, and what they do is basically they hire faculty from different departments for one specific trip, and both Dr. Menai and I are not involved in the honors college. We only organize this trip for you as we are experts in the topic, and really look forward to doing the trip with you, but we are not further involved in the administration of the honors college. But I know that I mean, I'm sure you will be able to figure it out, and there's still time to know all this enrollment information. Okay. Well, if there is no more questions, or if there are no more questions, then I would say let's leave it here. You have my email here. If you would write me, the only thing I could send you right now is the syllabus that we already have developed, that basically contains the information we just saw in the presentation in a larger format, and tells you a little more about the class and schedule and so on. We actually already have even the readings listed. So that's maybe also something interesting to mention. So what we are not going to do is like to have like a book or so, because the topic is so diverse. There's no specific book on that, but we will have like articles, most of them like journals, scientific articles, but also some more popular articles for you, and we will provide the links, and you can download these readings for free. And on the syllabus you already get an idea of some of the readings we are going to use. Okay, well then I would say, do you still an announcement or something?
Oh no, just if you need credit, we'll scan you on the way out.
Well, I would say